Well, Todd, here we go again.
Here we go again, 3 years later.
Yes, yes.
My name is Todd Peperkorn, and I serve in the Pastoral Ministry Missions Department at Concordia Theological Seminary, and work as the Director of Placement and do a few other things. So I'm half of this dynamic duo.
Yep.
Mart.
Well, I'm Mart Thompson, and I'm a professor at Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. I teach in the practical department, and then I direct the specific ministry pastor program, as well as direct the family discipleship initiative, which is a grant-funded initiative that we've started at the seminary there.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when did you go to seminary, and kind of tell me about it?
Yeah.
I don't know if you and I have ever actually talked about that part.
Yeah. I went in the 1980s, graduated in 1988.
Okay.
And St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. First parochial school I ever attended. We didn't have a Lutheran school in my hometown, and I went to a state university.
Okay.
I went there not thinking I was going into the ministry, but was influenced by a Lutheran campus ministry.
Oh, yes, of course.
Shout out to Missouri State University, the LSC. So.
The LSC, all right.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And so my wife is from St. Louis.
Okay.
We met in college. There was no question of where I was going to seminary.
Sure. You're all Missouri in.
That's right. That's right. So that was me. Loved it. Did my vicarage in Minnesota. And it was a campus ministry as well.
Is that right?
At Mankato State University.
Okay.
Now Minnesota State University at Mankato, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
And that was a great vicarage, and it was actually my first call. I went back to seminary for a year. They decided you haven't finished. So they called me there to serve as campus pastor, and I served a small rural parish as well.
Oh, that's
well,
fantastic.
how about you?
Well, I sort of ironically, I guess, I grew up in St. Louis.
Okay.
St. Charles, actually.
Okay, sure.
And then went to college at Concordia, Nebraska.
All right.
So met my wife Catherine there and everything. And then went to Concordia Theological Seminary, Fort Wayne. So I was there from 1992 to 1996.
Okay.
And those were some fun years, that's for sure. My vicarage I did in Waco, Texas.
Okay.
So I was there the year after the whole Branch Davidian ATF debacle. I'm sure you remember that.
Oh, yes,
The joke at the time was Todd Peperkorn, St. Paul's Lutheran Church, Waco, Texas. This is not filling a vacancy. So that got me initiated into Texas.
Okay.
And my wife was teaching at the Lutheran High School in Dallas at the time.
Okay.
And St. Paul's was just a fabulous congregation. Wonderful, wonderful people. I don't think I've done much in the way of water skiing since then, but it's probably better for everyone. But yeah, it was just a fantastic time. My supervisor's name was Albers, Walter Albers. He was a very grandfatherly figure. I mean, he was in his 60s when I was there. But we really got along great, and probably his greatest strength was visitation. We spent so much time in people's homes and in hospitals with sitting with
Such
families.
Such an important part of pastoral care.
Huge.
Yes, right.
It's that's one of the weird things that I think has sort of shifted a little bit in recent years. Last 5 years I've been the director of vicarage, and so I'm moving into placement now. But I have seen that vicars are doing a lot less hospital visits than I think they used to. And that's not because vicars are lazy. Right. It's because they just aren't in the hospital that long. And so if the pastor catches them, when you can have an open heart surgery that's outpatient, that really has made pastoral care kind of a little tricky, which is interesting.
Right. No, that's a good point.
Yeah, but I spent a lot of time doing those visitations. It was a big congregation, and so we had a whole round of shut-ins, etc. And that was probably where I really kind of started thinking about things like hospitality. How do you actually care for people as human beings,
right.
and not simply giving them information. Being a pastor is not a brain dump. It's actually caring for people.
Right. Well, and I'll jump in on that hospitality note, because as I was sharing a little bit with you earlier, I really appreciated the presentation that you made at the recent Theological Professors Conference on hospitality. And I'll have you know that I took down the names of these movies you recommended watching. And Cheryl and I watched those movies.
Oh, wow.
Because we are into this too. I don't know if you're familiar with Robert Farrar Capone's Supper of the Lamb.
Oh, yes, of course.
That kind of inspired us to host faculty members at our home for just nice, relaxed meals in the evening. But yeah, we're... what was that one about? Unreasonable Hospitality?
Unreasonable Hospitality, Will Guidara. What a great book.
But on the seminary end of things, I really liked how you emphasized that's what we also do as professors. Not that we're serving meals or anything, but we're showing that hospitality to students. It's we could put that theologically as mutual consolation and conversation of the brethren. But, and you know, is it Peter that talks about, you know, showing hospitality? And how important that is. And sometimes we lose that because we're all in on the theology and catechesis and instruction, but there are other aspects of sharing the faith in a more full-bodied way. And that's one of the things that I think is important to emphasize. So thank you for doing that.
My pleasure. And I would say that that's something that's always been a part of seminary life, is that sense of hospitality, that sense of community. If anything, I think that we're becoming more and more intentional about it. You know, one of the words that we use a lot in seminary talk nowadays that I don't think was common when you and I went to seminary is the word formation.
Right.
That formation is such a great word because it makes you think of clay, of getting your hands dirty, of doing things with stuff. And that's what happens when a man comes to the seminary, when he prepares for the office of the ministry, is that he is conformed to the image of God's Son. And that sometimes that forming is hard. Sometimes, you know, I think Malcolm Muggeridge is the one that said no one learns anything apart from suffering. Right. And there's an ounce of truth to that. Exactly. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, the vocation. There's always the cross in vocation.
That's right.
Used though to point us to the cross of Christ ultimately.
That's right.
But
that's exactly right.
That's right. No, I totally agree with that, and I think both of our seminaries are doing that now. I don't know if it's better than we've ever done it, but we've certainly emphasized it. And if I were to tell a seminary student or a prospective seminary student who's concerned about moving to campus, those kind of things, I always tell them it's such a wonderful community. We have this married student housing area. The single students have a dorm that they all are in. And we combine, life together with social activities, but then also the emphasis on chapel. And I know that Fort Wayne has had a great emphasis on chapel, and we have really, I have to give a little shout out to our Dean of Chapel. I think he's done a great job of kind of nurturing the community through our use of prayer services and preaching and that kind of thing.
And it gives
that's all part of formation.
It gives you this fuller picture that becoming a pastor means spiritual formation, and that means corporate prayer, corporate worship, but that also means worship in the family. That means worship in solitude, in prayer with the Word of God, in small community. I said family is the most obvious unit, and I know that that's something that's quite important to you, but also in the classroom even. And I love that in my mind, a good classroom is a place where there is not only deep conversation but lively.
Yeah.
That it's there are a few things. Don't tell my students this. There are a few things that I enjoy more than a student getting comfortable enough to argue with me in class, because that means that we're doing something right. That they now realize, okay, I can trust this guy enough to push back, and that's where learning really starts to begin.
I don't know that they argue with you that much, but I know it doesn't take long after they get to know you, Todd, that they feel pretty comfortable approaching this big guy. He's not so intimidating. He's very approachable.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
That's
the thing.
That's right. And in that life of prayer in the classroom is part of it too. I mean, so it might be some tentatio as far as the arguing.
Sure.
And iron sharpening iron.
Yep, that's
stuff.
right.
I primarily teach fourth year students after they come back from vicarage.
Interesting.
And it is interesting.
I bet.
I remember myself as a fourth year student.
Oh, yes.
Now, I had an interesting vicarage because I was kind of on my own in my vicarage. So I had to learn a lot in the School of Hard Knocks. I was somewhat humbled by the vicarage experience. And yet, sometimes guys, I don't know how many fourth year guys you teach, but they'll come back from vicarage and it's like, you got to say, let's get ready for pastoral ministry because it's going to be a little different than your vicarage experience in most cases.
Yep.
But
Lord willing, you've got the tools that are in place. Now we need the humility to go along with that. Sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But I have no doubt that within the first year, in fact, I was given this guidance by one of my mentors, Bob Kolb, who came and spoke to our students when I was a vicar even. And he said, your congregation's going to be one of your best teachers. And if we need to learn humility, they teach that to us, right?
That's the truth.
But I'm glad you brought up the home because that's something that we're also trying to address formationally now at the seminary. Is trying to mentor the students and their families in discipleship in the home, in coordination with what happens in congregational ministry, and then of course in our context in the seminary chapel and the seminary community. Because when they leave the seminary, they leave that chapel community behind.
Right.
They're going to a congregation that they don't know yet.
Yep.
But when they move with their family, if they have established that habitus, we like to use that word at times, of having this focus on the family altar, on daily prayer in the home, not totally dominating, because as when Luther moved from the monastery to emphasizing vocation, he said, we can't spend all day in prayer, right?
Right.
But just following the simple ordo and the catechism about how to do daily prayer, so you orient your life and your life together in your home around the gifts of Christ, the promises of God, and the guidance that His law gives to us. So that's one of our priorities right now.
I love it. I think I hear our song in the background going. So it is always a pleasure to talk to you, Mart.
Yes,
you well.
Todd.